Okay, you are free to skip this video. I don't think this part is in portion, but if you want to get the knowledge, this here it is. This video is about file modes. Okay. um Previously, if you were to open a file, it will be first you had to create the object, that is of stream. If you wanted to write of stream, object name is suppose uh f f out. Okay, and there it was, the object had been created. And if you were to open a file, you will write f out dot open the file name, which will be f out dot open file name, let's say my file. And there it was done. The file had been opened, but this is not the actual structure over here. This actually is, here is file name, and there is also a thing called file mode. Okay, but when you don't write any file mode, the default file mode is iOS out. So if you don't specify mode for of stream, it is iOS out, and for if stream the default mode is iOS in. Okay, these two are the default modes. That is, if you don't specify anything, these modes will be applied. But these two aren't the only modes. There are more modes present there. So in will read and out will write. That is understood, I guess, for now. Okay, so let's start. There are many more iOS modes, file modes. So the first one being iOS app or app, iOS ATE. Okay, these two are similar, that's why I'm writing them together. Okay, so if you were to write iOS app, what will this do is it will start reading from end of the file. That is if a file exists, which let's say 1 2 3 lines. Okay, if you use iOS app, it will start reading from end of the file. Okay, so it will start reading from the third line. But in iOS ATE, it will read from the end lines. It will read from the end line, but it also allows you to modify the previous lines. That is, if you were to write iOS ATE, it will not only read from the last line, but it will allow you to edit all the previous lines which were written. So that is for ATE. Now moving on to other file modes, we have wait, let me increase the brightness of it. Okay, so moving on to other modes, we have iOS no create, iOS no create, and iOS no replace. Okay, so if you write, say for example, data comma iOS no create. Okay, if this was open dot open and this was the parameter or arguments. Okay, if this is what you have written, it will not create a file if the file already exists. Okay, if a file, example in a folder, file data, if it already exists, it will not create a new file and the program ends over there. That is, this command is false and it ends. So the old file stays intact, there's no changes and no new file are created. In iOS no replace, okay, sorry, a quick change, sorry. If the file does not exist, that is, there is no file called data, then it will not create data. Okay, say if we used iOS out, that is, if we used iOS out, remember, if there was no file called data, it will create data, right? But if we use iOS no create, then if there is no file called data, then it will not create any data files. That is, no new files were added. But in iOS no replace, if there is a file called data, okay, if a data file already exists, it will not replace the file. That is, it will not erase the old content. Okay, it will not erase the old content, and the program fails over here. That is, this part ends. So if we were not to write this and we used iOS out, then what will it do? If this file is there and it has lines of codes, lines of information in it, it will erase this all previous content and again start from line 1. Okay, but if we write iOS no replace, and if it finds a file named data, what it will do is it will return a 0 and the command stops. That is, do not hamper with this file and just skip it. Okay, so the next one is iOS binary. So what does this binary do is it creates a file type. The file type which is created is of binary type. Okay, but if you were not to write binary, then the default will be .txt. The default is always .txt. The default type will be .txt, but only if you specify iOS : binary, the new file will be of binary data type. Okay, the next one is iOS try nc. Okay, so about iOS and iOS try nc, iOS try nc will erase all the previous content. Okay, so iOS try sync will erase all the previous content. Now you will ask, why do we need this if iOS out already does that? Remember, iOS out, if a file called data already exists, it will erase all the data and again start from line 1. So the question is, why do we need iOS try and see if iOS out already does that? So the point is, iOS out has another, how to explain, iOS out has iOS out, okay, I'm sorry for that. iOS out has try and see in it. Okay, iOS out is iOS out plus try and see. So try and see is a part of iOS out. It is a small part of iOS out. So these were most of the I'll say all the file modes. Now if you want, I'll show you the syntax also. So if you want to open, let's say the file type the object name was outdata. Outdata.open, our regular form will be data. That is how we open, right? But if you were to specify a file mode, it will be outdata. This can be changed. Any object names are completely dependent upon you, whatever you name them. Okay, iOS open, and the file name will be same, data, and the file mode, that is iOS, and whatever you want to write. Let's say we are using iOS no create. Okay, iOS no create, and then you will close it and use a semicolon. But if you were to use more than one file mode, you will use bit operator and write another file mode, that is iOS no create and iOS ate. So the bit operator is used if you want to add more than one file mode. So here we have iOS no create. What iOS no create does is it will not create a file if it does not already exist. Okay, if there is no file called data, it will not create a new data file. And iOS 80 is when, if there is a data file, it will start reading. Okay, it was over here, right? If there is a data type file, if there is a file called data, it will start reading from the end line, and it gives you the ability to edit all the previous lines too, unlike app. So these were the file modes. Okay, I'll just show you all thing. These are the file modes, and that is it. Hey guys, if you like this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting new videos about C++ very soon, so please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.